Hello everyone, I'm Phoenix Tremaine and welcome back to my 31 Days of Halloween. Today is day 6 and we're going to be talking about Hellbent because every Wednesday, if I can ever get on schedule, every Wednesday for the month of October, I'm going to be spotlighting gay horror movies. And I decided to do Hellbent first because it's the first gay horror movie I've ever seen. This came out back in 2004, and it was directed and written by Paul Etheridge, starring Dylan Fergus, which my soap fam may recognize because he played Tim Dillon on All My Children. If you don't remember him on there, you're more likely to remember him as Noah Bennett on Passions. So, after nearly 10 years acting hiatus, he's played Alan Smythe on the Two Sentence Horror Stories back in 2019. That was on CW. So, for the most part, he's the only person I recognize outside of this film as having done other things. But let me give you some of the backstory. From the co-creator of Halloween and executive producer of A Nightmare on Elm Street comes a well-directed and acted gay slasher film. This is created in the vein of a true horror film and not the many gay horror films that try to be more comedy than horror. There are so many horrible gay horror movies that are horrible because they rely on stereotypes, stereotypical comedy, and you can never build any sort of suspense because the characters are always over the top and ludicrous. So that's not all of them, but those are most of the ones that I see or I can't get past the trailer for. Yeah. They're bad. They're real bad. Which is why Hellbent stood out to me so much because, with a pedigree like executive producer of Nightmare on Elm Street and co-creator of Halloween, this really feels like just a slasher film, horror movie slasher film that just happened to have gay characters as the leads. That's it. And that's very refreshing. So Hellbent is about 4 friends on Halloween night out in West Hollywood trying to enjoy their night when they park their car and walk through a park to get to the Halloween festival. They run across a man in the distance that they don't realize is a serial killer, and they make crude comments because he's attractive and even pull down their pants and moon him. I'm sure you know what mooning means. They leave laughing, but the serial killer now wants them all to be his next victims. He begins stalking them throughout the festival, the Halloween festival that they go to, and he likes to decapitate his victims and keep people's heads as trophies. So so it's not long before characters start losing their heads. The director Paul Etheridge says of his process, Hellbent offered me the opportunity to create a film peopled with confident, likable queer kids. The young men in Hellbent have moved beyond worrying about whether it's okay to be gay or not. These kids have the real-life concerns of their generation. Who's that hot guy? Why do I always have to be the sober one? And will I ever get out of these heels? I was totally writing a movie I wanted to see. So you can tell that the director, who is also the writer, was very excited and happy to create this. And you can see the love on the screen that he had for these characters. And like I said, I was very impressed by the film. And since it was back in 2004, this was like a 17-year-old movie. I watched it again today to see how well it held up to, my dusty memories from 17 years ago, where I was just left with the impression that I thought it was a good film. For the most part, it still holds up, and for the most part, the different characters' personalities ring true. That I can see that these type of characters would exist in real life. So we have the impulsive, horny bi friend and roommate Chaz that will leave a friend behind if he thinks he can hook up with a guy or a girl or both. He just wants to have a good time. Toby is the jock, and he's like a Calvin Klein type model. They show this big billboard that he's on, but he dresses in drag almost through the whole entire movie. He's because it's in one night, so he's in drag the whole night, and he dressed in drag because he want people to like him. He doesn't want people to like him for his looks. He does drag in hopes of someone focusing on him instead of his looks. Although people can look at you even more when you're in drag, even if they're not happy about it. So throughout the movie, uh, there are some people that say, "Hey, you look good," whatever. But then when it comes to trying to hook up or meet someone, they don't want nothing to do with him. But he knows that if they knew he was the guy in the billboard in the underwear ad, that he could have anybody he wanted there. But that kind of wasn't the point. We have the awkward nerd Joey trying to come out of his comfort zone. He's on the cusp of getting with the man of his dreams, this jock named Jared Reynolds. All he has to do is survive the night. The main character is Eddie, the good boy with a field of vision and depth of perception problem, whose father was a cop and sister is currently a cop. He tried to be a cop himself, but due to an eye injury, he couldn't pass the medical exam for the police department. And he's just real thirsty for this biker he meets when the film first starts. And they only meet for like a brief moment, and the biker's not really paying him any attention. But he tries to get with them throughout the movie. And now that I'm seeing this movie for the second time, I'm like, why? The guy clearly is not into you, you know, and he's just real thirsty. Like, please talk to me. Please tell me your name. And the guy's Jake is a mysterious biker that, at least in the beginning, he may or may not be the killer. So, because he has such a sort of like a rude, arrogant, nasty attitude, and he doesn't seem to like gay behavior, although he's clearly gay too. So when you're trying to figure out who done it, his name goes up to the top of the list. However, do not waste your time trying to figure out who did it. That is not the point of the movie. They want the killer to be mysterious. So his motivations of why he did it or any of that, we don't know nothing. Now here's some of the negative. Like I said, I am recommending this movie, but I'm going to point out some of the negative too. The opening kill was a little awkward. The director never really committed to the scene, in my opinion. You can see from the actors' positioning that they were supposed to be doing things in a car, but they really weren't lined up correctly for it. And being a producer and writer myself and director, I have done actually many love scenes, and I know how actors can feel awkward on camera, and they may not be the most comfortable with being close or whatever, but it's just a matter of everybody being professional. We're not making a triple X film, this is completely different. This is just a love scene, nothing you wouldn't see on HBO or Showtime or anything like that. So, just calm down, go with it. It's gonna be okay because nothing will happen. So, I felt like because it didn't seem realistic what was going on or what was supposed to be going on, it was really awkward. I couldn't really get into that first scene, even though part of it was well directed. I like when the guy decides to make more room in the car, so he goes out the window where he leans back and you see the shot of the moon as he's looking up. And I knew they showed the killer like coming around the car, so I knew the killer was going to come into the shot for him to be shocked. Although technically he should have realized he was nearby because it wasn't he wasn't like creeping or nothing. He was walking, so he should have saw him way before he did. But I liked the way that shot looked. Um, the killer exits, and basically a character is begging for attention from the killer. So, to be fair, this character doesn't actually know that they're begging a killer to be with them. But the scene didn't make sense to me because the killer was actually holding about two or three heads in the bag with the blood dripping. And because it's dark, he doesn't realize what's going on. And the killer has a knife in his hand, which they saw way back in the park. And so he's like, hey, don't you want me or whatever? And and he finally gets the killer's attention and gets killed. So, but the killer was exiting the carnival or the festival. So, if he was leaving and he was coming after the four guys, why would he not go ahead and bump him off too? I felt like as a writer, he was trying to sort of make this statement, about, him trying to get people. Well, I don't want to give it away. But I feel like he was just trying to make a statement about the character itself. And it didn't really fit with the context of the scene in a movie, or there was a scene missing or something. And then there's another character escapes and cares more about, this person was almost killed, knows that the killer they saw in the park, even though they didn't realize it was the killer. Well, once he starts taking his scythe and trying to get rid of you, then you kind of know where he is. All your friends are missing. You don't know if they're alive, if they're bumped off, or what's going on. All you know is that you finally got a chance to hook up with somebody you've been trying to hook up with for the whole movie. So, once again, we fall into unrealistic horror tropes, and I really like it when, and it's rare, but a horror movie doesn't get lazy and just says, well, it's a horror movie, so what do you expect? People got to be stupid to find themselves in these situations. That's not true. A horror movie is best when, the audience thinks to themselves, well, if that was me, I would have done this. But then they can't because you created an obstacle so that they are shoved into the position you want them to be in. And it's harder to write, but it's better in the long run. So, so this person goes to hook up, even though they almost got killed. They don't know where the killer is. The killer escaped. The friends are missing, and he feels like he wants to be a squirrel. And you know what squirrels do? They like. Just saying. And the main character's love interest is unlikable, which is the biker dude. I'm like, all the way to the end of the movie, I'm like, why do you like him? What is wrong with you? So the end descends into typical horror tropes, which is both good and bad. It's good in the sense that the movie was treated like a slasher film of the era during that time, because of Scream, there were a whole lot of slasher films, especially because Scream was in 96, this is in 2004. So this is within that whole decade where, we were getting, whether they were on a big screen or whether they were straight to video, we were getting a whole lot of slasher flicks. And this kind of fits into that. But once again, relying on old tropes from horror movies, it makes you go, why are you so stupid? Why? You're just making things worse for yourself by not making rational decisions. Um, and then the movie sets up a sequel, and 17 years later, we still have no sequel. So this movie, which I do recommend, is available for rent for $3.99 on Amazon, or if you're a Here TV subscriber, or you're interested in having a subscription service like Here TV, there's $7.99 a month where you can watch the movie with your subscription and anything else they have on Here TV. But yeah, and on Here TV, I don't have Here TV, but on Here TV it says, when I was looking up the movie, it said remastered. So there's that too. If you want the best, I guess the best quality, I'm sure the remastered version is probably Amazon version too, because you can also buy it on Amazon for $19.99 if you like it that much. But it is definitely worth $3.99 if you want to rent it. Good Halloween treat for you. And if you've seen this movie, go ahead in the comment section, tell me about it. If you have any comments as far as like, what you thought about the movie, I appreciate it. I'd love to hear it. And is this something that you'd want to see or that you'd like to see? So we got 3 more days coming up this month for my Wednesday gay themed horror movies. Next up is my Thursday black horror movies, black themed horror movies. And I'm going to start with Black as Night, which can be seen on Amazon Prime. So I will see you in the next video where we will be discussing the black vampire film, Black as Night.